Connie, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
So, Connie Simmonds is an entrepreneur, business director, life coach, mother, podcaster, content creator, and author. I feel like the list could go on and on. Connie has documented her 20s and early 30s, from the struggles of her body image, her inspiring weight loss journey, motherhood, career changes, and all-round empowering content. She resonates with so many people as her content is so real and authentic. Connie is also my cousin, and I've been lucky enough to grow up with her. She has been an inspiration to me since I can remember, and I still look up to her this day. Connie, welcome to the podcast, and thank you for coming on. And why do I feel emotional saying all of that?
I'm going to cry. Oh my God.
I wrote it.
Is
I
that
feel
really
like I'm
my
going to
life?
cry.
Woo! Oh, Bex, what an intro. Jeez. I told you I could trust you.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah. Welcome to the podcast, and thanks for coming on.
Oh, no, thank you. I said before the session, I had to revise my life. 'Cause I'm 32 now. So, I mean, it's not old, but yeah, God, my 20s as a decade was amazing and just like a whirlwind. So it was nice to actually look back on it, actually.
Good. That's what I was going to say. If you could just give us an overview, obviously you're past your 20s now, but I know there was so much that went on. So if you could just give us an overview of your 20s.
Yeah, gosh. So I met my partner, fiance, Ricky, when I was 19. So I entered my 20s in a relationship and obviously stayed in that relationship that whole decade of my 20s, which I think would have helped shape some of my decisions and direction, because I didn't have the distraction of dating and worrying about who am I going to meet, because I know that fills a lot of people's minds. I met him before online dating was a thing, thank God. We met through mutual friends, and we started BBMing, and I don't even know with a BlackBerry. So I would say that would have made it easier for me to, in some ways, just focus on my career. I've always been ambitious and very motivated by making my own money. I love being financially independent, not because I love material stuff. I'm not materialistic at all. I think I own one designer thing, which that was painful to buy, but I love it. It's just been in me, but I think that's because we come from a family of entrepreneurs. It's not weird for us to take risks or to be self-employed. So that's helpful. But I entered my 20s not confident. University was not great for me. So I think you graduate when you're 21. So the last 2 years of uni, I was in a long distance relationship with Ricky, which was really hard. I was very homesick. But there was something in me that was like, you've got this far, get the grade. Can I swear on this podcast? Fuck everything else. Just get the grade and get out of there. And I did that. And I think that was probably the first time my mental health was tested. And that also impacted my body image. I was obsessed with dieting. I was taking diet pills and rushing myself to A&E with allergic reactions. And I had glandular fever at uni, and I was still on a no-carb diet, running on a treadmill. It was bad. I mean, you would have been tiny when I was at uni. I know you came and visited me once.
Yeah,
but
I did come and visit.
It was a very challenging time. But when I go back to career and ambition, I'd say I talk about career and ambition, although that doesn't define you as a person. It did fill up a lot of my 20s. I always had the goal of I'm going to have my first property at 25. So when I graduated, I already had a job lined up. And that was at Gumtree. In sales. They were selling advertising space. I did business and marketing at uni, and I just thought, it's selling advertising. So it's advertising's involved. Okay, whatever, go for it. It was a decent salary, and I could make commission. So, and it was Richmond, so I could go from Ealing to Richmond on a 65, and it was great. So that was my first job out of uni, and it was straight away. I literally didn't take a breath. So no traveling, none of that. All my energy was just focused on earning and just getting into this big bad world of business and all that sort of stuff. But I think Nan and Grandad inspired that in me because, I mean, not everyone thinks that's the right way of doing it, and there is no right way. Everyone's unique. But Nan and Grandad travelled once their kids were older.
Yeah.
So that kind of made me go, it's fine. Like, those countries aren't going anywhere.
Yeah. You can always do
I
it.
can come back to that. And right now I don't have the itch for it.
Yeah.
My itch and my like hunger was for career and for property.
Yeah.
Another thing our family installed in us was get on the property ladder. I mean, the amount of times I heard that growing up was ridiculous.
From when you were like 5 years old.
Yeah, literally. So that was it. I was just like, right, that's the goal. And then, oh my God, I didn't enjoy Gumtree at all. It was cold calling.
Yeah.
But what a way to just throw yourself out there. I mean, cold calling, you've got no confidence. You've come out of uni, hated it, and you're like, this is my first job. And then they're like, right, now you just have to call loads of strangers and sell advertising space to them. Yeah. And
they might be really rude to you on the phone, but just deal with it.
So it's like an instant like dealing with rejection.
Yeah.
And just building that resilience. But what did give me confidence was the interview leading up to that job. Right. It was like an apprentice style interview. Yeah. So there was loads of us, and they gave us team activities, and there was people like directors or managers in these companies, Gumtree being one of them, going around watching you perform in activities. Gosh. How do you deal with this business situation? Yeah. And I thrived in it. So what I have been really good at in my 20s is I've been very self-aware. Yeah. No one told me to be it, but I was just like, hang on a second. I seem to have a bit more common sense here than these people. Yeah. There's something here. Yeah. And I know I did business at uni, but when you put it into practice, it's very different. It is different. But I was like, there's something in me here. And I could see it. And that's when I just was like, okay, you've just noticed the strength in yourself. And I've been very good at that, noticing my strengths. Yeah. And also your weaknesses is important to notice them and either work on them or just find someone else to fill that hole. Yeah. Learned that recently. So yeah, that was good. So although I was lacking confidence, I was finding ways to boost my confidence, which was good. And then I got headhunted by a friend's auntie, funny enough, for a digital marketing role in an industry that I couldn't care less for. Yeah. But I wanted to go into digital marketing. Yeah. So I was like, right, that's the role. It might not be the industry, but it's the next step. Right. Yeah. So again, it's like what I teach in coaching now is just one step at a time. Yeah. And I was doing it naturally, weirdly. And I asked for a silly salary and she accepted it. So I was like, and again, it was local. I could drive there. So after Gumtree, that I moved there, I think I was 23, 22, 23. So a year later. And I think I just felt such a sense of just
breathe.
Relief, because I wasn't cold calling. I could get creative. Yeah. And it was a different office environment to Gumtree. Gumtree was quite intense. Everyone was really competitive. There was a lot of drugs and alcohol, and that just didn't suit me. So I was relieved about that. And then the first big, I'd say, transformation in my 20s happened when Bradley's career, whilst my life was going on, took a turn where he became a PT, and then he started using Instagram, this new thing that no one really had. And there was just like squares, and you could do a 15-second video or a picture. Yeah. And he was speeding up his workout so that they would fit into 15 seconds. Anyway, and some of his friends were taking the mick out of him, but, he was working so hard, like training clients at Virgin Active, and I would drive him there sometimes, or he would cycle, or I would drop his lunch because he couldn't afford to buy lunch. So, and he'd made a packed lunch, but if he forgot it, he'd be like, Connie, please, I forgot my packed lunch. I'm going to need it. I can't afford to buy lunch. So, I could see that happening, and I was always supportive of him, and we lived together. And then his following grew. He was reaching out to celebrities and all of that. And he rang me one day and said, I know you really don't like your job. And I was like, okay, that's true. I kind of didn't say it to myself. Yeah. And he was like, I've just been given a book deal, and I've sat down with my laptop, and I just don't know where to start. Right. And I was like, okay. And he was like, they've paid me enough that I can pay you. I was like, okay, where's this going? He was like, can you leave your job to help me write my book?
Right.
And I had set up my own beauty business as well.
I remember.
So C Beauty was my makeup business, and I did spray tans, and it was mobile, so weekends. But what that done was that left me very little time for myself, I suppose. I'm a comfort eater, or I was, and I wasn't moving my body anymore. I was sat at a desk from someone who was really sporty and obsessing about the gym. I was sitting at a desk, my filing cabinet was a snack drawer, and I was grabbing croissants at 6 a.m, driving to bridal makeup stuff on the weekend. And I just lost any respect, I suppose, for my health and any like love for that side of things. I think I probably went too hard at uni because I felt so out of control. It was something to control. And then I just, I let go of that. So this was like the start of the first pivotal moment in my career, I would say.
Yeah.
And me, I was going to say finding myself. That's really cheesy.
No, it's not.
So I just thought, I'm going to do it because I can do my makeup still and grow that. I think I had 10,000 followers at the time, which was quite good because Instagram had started. I had a couple of celebrity clients. I was doing that. And I thought, well, I can grow that while I'm writing his book because that's not going to take up all my time. And I rang my director and she was amazing. And she was just like, just go for it. So I didn't even really do any notice. I just left. And mum and dad were really understanding. They didn't put any pressure on me because I half my salary working for Brad at the time. But I just saw potential. I just felt like...
You knew there was something there.
Yeah, and like I said before, becoming self-employed wasn't seen as... Because everyone in our family is essentially self-employed, like the generation before us. All of our aunties and uncles. My dad is. So, no one was like, oh my God, this is shocking. And then Riley turned around to me and said, right, so now we're working together. We're together every day. You have to train with me and my clients because your health is shot to pieces. And I was overweight and I had a stomach infection for so long and it just impacted me so badly. And I was like, okay, let's do this. But it changed my life. It changed my life. So we trained together every day. That's how I met Terry, who's one of my closest friends now. She was like, get your sister training with me. She's very passionate about health and she's so lovely. And Chrissy, another friend, and loads of other people. We go to his boot camps and that's how I found my love for boxing because Bradley, we used to box together. And I said to him, you are not showing enough diversity on your page in terms of women's bodies. And I think you should share my journey because everyone you're filming is already either fit or slim or, you know, they're doing sort of really gentle stuff. But like, let's just show something else. And then I didn't know that a book publishing house was watching me too. And then 12 weeks later, they came to me and they asked me if I wanted to do my own book. But the funny thing is, obviously, being Bradley's ghostwriter, creating the recipes together, cooking them at home. I gave 60 of my recipes and probably all I had to Bradley in his book. I was like, oh my God,
what am I going to do?
I've got to think of 60 more recipes now, for God's sake. But yeah, that was just incredible. It was like, is this really happening? And my Instagram page, my followers increased and I started getting my own, I guess, brand deals and like I was invited to lots of fitness events. I was seen as a fitness influencer, which is wild. I was still the biggest, by the way, at every one of those events, but I feel like I was just as fit. And that was, again, another moment where I was like, it's not about being skinny. It's about being fit and it's about being healthy because I couldn't be healthier right now, but my body wants to be this size. And I was probably a 10 to 12 and I look great and I wish I loved my body even more. Now I've had 2 kids. But that was another moment of like, this is who you are. Your genetics are unique to you and there is nothing you can do about it. So don't spend the rest of your life hating your body when that is what you've been given.
Yeah.
Because what a waste of energy. Make the most of what you've got and love it and appreciate. You can't, one of my favourite quotes is, you can't hate yourself into loving yourself.
Yeah.
It's not possible.
No.
So again, another like, and that's where the body, like confidence and talking about body image and stuff like that came in, because I was like, I can't be the only one feeling this way. And my page went sort of into a beauty from the inside out.
Yeah.
Because it was just makeup and spray tanning gives you confidence.
Yeah.
And then it went into, no, actually, I've done a nutritional diploma. I'm really healthy and fit. It's changed my life. It's changed my mindset, my energy, like just everything. My career's rocketed. Beauty from the inside out is what's important.
Yeah.
Start from within and the outside will sort itself out.
Yeah.
And that just became my ethos, and it hasn't changed, to be totally honest with you. Like, I think it's timeless.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's kind of leading into my mid-20s. And I got to 25 and I bought my first flat.
Yeah.
So I hit my goal at 25, got the keys to my flat with Ricky, and I was like, oh my God, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
And I think that gave me confidence, you know, that gave me the lack of confidence I had at uni to get into 25 and, you know, everything.
Changed it around.
Yeah, just changed it around. And then I was like, okay, like, start believing in yourself a bit more. And yeah, that was pretty special. I'm pretty proud of that.
Yeah, you should be.
But for some reason at that point I thought, right, career's great, I've got the property. Now I'd really like to have a child. Like squeezing it all into my 20s.
Yeah.
Ricky probably wasn't ready. But I think he just trusted me.
Yeah.
And I have got polycystic ovaries, but only on one side, which I didn't know. Right. So I've got one side that's working very well.
Yeah.
And I said to him, look, I've got polycystic ovaries. It could take ages, you know, who knows? It might even take 3 years.
Yeah.
So he was like, okay, it's going to take 3 years. Cool. 1 month later, which is really, really amazing. I'm very lucky. I was pregnant with Macy. I was 26.
Yeah.
And I thought going into pregnancy, the fittest and strongest I'd ever been would mean that after having the baby, it would be easier to get back to that previous state, which was so naive and so ridiculous, because your body will never be the same after you've had a child.
Yeah.
And how, like, come on, you've just grown a human in your stomach. Of course it's not going to be. I mean, some women's bodies change more than others. And, but I'd have to say this was another transformation period for me, which it is for any woman having a child. It doesn't matter what your story is. But yeah, I couldn't exercise from 20 weeks onwards. My pelvis was absolutely shot to pieces because I'm hypermobile, which I didn't know until I was pregnant. And so just in a really weird, confusing way, I, like, obviously the best thing ever was going to happen to me, but it felt like the worst thing was happening to me.
Yeah.
Which sounds really sad, and I don't feel it now, but at the time when you're still immature, like you're still only think of a, how old are you, Bex? 28. Okay, so think of a 26-year-old. You're so young nowadays. It's so different. I obviously thought I was older than what I was, but yeah, I just thought, oh my God, my whole career is built on me being this fit and healthy,
and now
curvy person. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
Because, like, my stretch marks are horrific. I can't exercise. I've gained weight. My face is swollen. Like, honestly, it knocked my mental health so badly.
Yeah.
Motherhood didn't, but the body transformation did. And that was really, really, really hard. And I think when I would look at Macy, I would be like, I love you so much, but look what you've done to my body, which is really sad. I don't think it now, obviously. again, it's like accepting this is my body and my genetics.
This is what happens.
My mum's had 4 kids. She's tiny and she's not got one stretch mark. She's got no cellulite. Her boobs are great still. I just don't have.
Amazing.
Yeah, I just don't have a genetics.
Yeah.
I just don't. She's my mum.
Yeah.
And there we are, all comparing ourselves to someone on the internet we're not even related to.
Exactly.
You don't even look like your mum. How are you comparing your body to Kendall Jenner or how are you trying to be Gigi Hadid or I don't know. I'm just
someone else who's had a child.
Yeah, or like Kim Kardashian who's had so much surgery. Like you're comparing your body and yourself to people you're not even related to. I'm not even remotely like my mum in terms of my body.
Yeah.
We've got the same eyes and hair, but you know what I mean. Like
so
that was again another self-awareness wake up moment. Stop comparing yourself to everyone else and all the women that are bouncing back.
Yeah.
Because you are not them and you never will be.
Yeah,
what a waste of energy.
It is a waste of energy.
Yeah, huge waste of energy. And that was another huge turn. It doesn't take away the days where you look in the mirror and you go, oh, fuck's sake. Or like, oh, I'm really struggling to love myself today. We all have those days. Of Even course. Like the people that you think are the most stunning in the world, they will have those days because we're all human.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It's what you do after. Yeah. It's what you do with that information you're feeding yourself that matters. So a lot of body stuff after I had Macy was really tough and got let go by management. I'd say I got let go. And I think it's because they wanted me to be Bradley's sidekick.
Right.
They wanted us to be a brother and sister duo, the fitness duo, brother and sister, whatever. He was the inspirational, I was the aspirational, so a bit more relatable and real, and Bradley was like the god. But that's just not us. It's not who we are. And I could never be a PT. I love netball. I love team games and stuff like that. But, and I love cheering people on. But being a personal trainer is not for me.
Yeah.
So I think that what they wanted me to be was not what I was going to be, especially now I had Macy and everything had changed. Yeah. So my confidence was rock bottom again. Yeah. So it's like I just had this like massive peaks and troughs throughout my 20s, which I think most 20-year-olds feel and have and experience anyway, because you are finding yourself, you're figuring stuff out. And then I was like, I don't know, I think maybe becoming a mum, you just get this fire in your belly or this hunger to just be like, well, it's not just about me now. And yeah, I mean, what did I do after I had Macy? I almost feel like it's such a blur, but I just kept going.
Yeah.
And I think I worked for Bradley again. Mm-hmm. So for a period of time, I moved away from working for Bradley. Yeah. Because I could financially look after myself. My Instagram was going crazy, and then with Macy and maternity leave and stuff, and like everyone that was following me for that, and then I become a mum, and I'm in my 20s, a lot of those 25-year-olds weren't mums, so they couldn't relate to me anymore. Yeah. So it's like, oh my gosh, now I'm like plateaued, and I've got to like create this whole new persona.
Image of yourself. Yeah.
It's like, whoa. Yeah. This is wild. And it's like I'm waiting for brands to decide whether I fit their campaign. Yeah. Like everything felt so out of my control. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I need to do something here where I'm in control of my career again and salary and the direction I'm going in. But that's when I decided to become a life coach. And I think we were in lockdown and stuff at this point. Yeah. And I went on a podcast, and the lady on the podcast was a coach. Yeah. And she said, you would be a really good life coach. You're wiser beyond your years. Yeah. And I was like, okay. And I think that's self-awareness. Yeah, completely. Is what she meant by wisdom. I just think I was very self-aware, and I was very like self-analytical, but in a positive way. So I was like, okay, what's this life coaching thing? And she told me about it, and she introduced me to this really nice guy. Mindful Talent is who I did my course with. It's one of the questions I get asked most, actually. Yeah. And I just went for it. I had some savings and I invested in the course. Yeah. I thought it was lockdown and I could do it part-time. It's like a globally accredited qualification, so I could do it anywhere in the world. And that was another transformative period of my life. So I think in my 20s, I had 3 really pivotal moments that were, well, this was the first one that wasn't as challenging. Yeah. So the first one was like the whole university and like being really unhealthy and all of that, and then the book coming out and just changing my health and realising that health is the most important thing. And then having a motherhood was huge and such a challenge, very emotional. But this one was the one where I'm like, this is who I am.
Yeah.
And it was like, if I do this course and I never become a life coach, it has been worth the money.
Yeah.
Because I have learned so much about myself and about humans, because there was loads of neuroscience in it, which I love.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with like the chimp paradox and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, became a better person. I understood people better. I was a better partner, more patient, less judgmental. Like the list goes on.
Yeah.
And what I also done, which I now realise is so important if you're feeling lost. One, always start with your health.
Yeah.
That's a ethos we've brought in to Get It Done recently. And then build your knowledge and skills.
Yeah.
And that's what I had to do. I was on Instagram as this real mum, showing the reality of your body changing and not being afraid to say that she felt shit, or that she felt like a bad mum, or that Macy was having a tantrums. Instagram was, even though it's still very unrealistic and you've got to take it with a pinch of salt now, it was even worse then.
Yeah.
There was no real accounts on there.
No.
So to go to, from being a mum on Instagram and that being my brand, to going, actually, you need a qualification. You need to be qualified at something. Like you need to be a professional for brands to have that credibility.
Yeah.
Because social media became more saturated, and if I had that, then I felt more confident in what I was saying. I was getting so many direct messages asking me for my advice. I didn't feel qualified to do it.
Right.
So this life coaching course opened all of that up for me and was the answer to a lot of it. And how old was I then? 28?
Yeah.
So the age you are now, 28. And I didn't use it for a while, my qualification. I announced it and I could post. It gave me like more inspiration for the content I was sharing.
Yeah.
But I didn't start using it until I felt I was ready to.
Yeah.
Because you become a life coach and all of a sudden you can start guiding people.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just needed to sit on it for a bit.
Yeah.
But I must admit, the way it changed my mindset and has enabled me to go into my 30s.
Yeah, in a different mindset.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, I used to hide behind Bradley and Get It Done.
Yeah.
And everything I'd done for that brand and for him, because I felt like it felt like it was a bit of a failure.
Right.
Because I felt like I had the ability to stand on my own 2 feet.
Yeah.
And I should be the forefront of my own thing. I had to keep going back to Bradley for stability and finances. Like I had to be paid a salary, basically, essentially. He's done well financially for a very long time. Mine's been peaks and troughs, again, because of becoming a mum.
Yeah.
My income never dropped until I became a mum.
Right.
So when I had Macy and I was really worried about finances, Bradley was like, come work for me again. I need you to do this, this and this. So I was like, great. So I hid behind it.
Yeah.
But more recently, I've been going, no, I am the person behind this. And Bradley has been, I guess his ego as well, as a guy and a businessman, has been like, no, I couldn't have done it without my sister.
Yeah.
She's been behind the scenes the whole time.
Yeah.
And we finally, I think even on his 30th birthday, he even said it in his speech. And I don't think he's ever really said it before.
Yeah.
He talks about it more on his stories. And so all that time that I felt like it was actually because I was failing, I had to go back.
Yeah.
I think it was just the universe trying to go, no, this is what you're meant to do.
Yeah.
So this whole time it's just been like going around full circle.
Yeah.
And now I'm like accepting it and I've owned it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I don't think I could have done that without this life coaching course.
Yeah.
And becoming a coach.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, that is some 20s. I want to dive in a bit, because I feel like there's been so much there, from leaving uni to your business, leaving work, and then having a baby and all of that that's come from it as well. And I think that's why I thought you'd be such a great guest on here as well, because as you said there, particularly with having Macy, I don't think there was that real person on Instagram. And I distinctly remember you posting a picture when Macy was tiny, of your body and how you felt, and you were holding Macy in the mirror, and like I always remember that picture.
That went viral, I think.
Yeah, and I just remember thinking, oh my goodness, that's so honest. Like, good on you for doing that. And I think that's going to help so many women, because they need to see that. I didn't know that, like, all of these things after childbirth, no one's ever told me that. Or why would I know? I've not had a baby. But I think having someone like you is amazing. And I think that, as you say, although it maybe affected your career in some ways, it helped you to pivot, and you became that person that people can relate to.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I think that's amazing. And then it's driven you to, as you say, kind of transform, get it done into like a wellness business, and taking you from there. So yeah, there's so much to digest, and I think it's just amazing that your journey's been like that.
Do you know what? I'm thankful for all the no's as I am, as much as I am thankful for all the yeses.
Yeah.
Because it's just trusting that process. At the time, obviously, it feels horrific, but I mean, I guess from Gumtree and all the rejection on the phone calls probably helped, but from management, when it's about you, and not selling advertising space, it's a lot harder to take.
Yeah.
But I more recently left management, but it was on my terms, because I was like, no one can put me out there or sell me to a brand or to an event. I'd love to do more panels and stuff better than me.
Yeah, because
no one believes. And no one believes in me as much as I believe in myself. You know. Yeah. So yeah, I'm grateful for all the no's throughout my 20s, and I think they're important.
Yeah, completely.
If you go through your 20s and everyone's saying yes to you, you become a bit of a dick in your 30s.
Yeah,
I'd say
you need a bit of like realism.
Yeah, and like it shapes you. It should ignite some hunger in your belly and some fire. Everyone's different, but again, it's all about mindset. Do you use the rejection as fuel? You should.
Yeah.
Obviously, you need to take a moment first.
Yeah.
We all have to go, oh, you said no. And then you have to go, right, okay.
What am I going to do?
Who am I?
Yeah.
And what do I want?
Yeah.
And in your 20s, a lot of people don't know what they want, right?
Well, so, that's the whole point of this podcast, right? I'm trying to share different stories, because I don't know what I want still. And it's showing that there's all these different paths and routes you can take. And somebody might see you, for example, and think, wow, Connie is so successful. I wish I could be like her, blah, blah, blah. But they don't know your backstory to it. Like maybe if they've only started following you in the last year or two, they don't know all of that.
Yeah.
So to hear your story and be like, wow, she's actually had to do X, Y, and Z to get to where they are.
Oh, absolutely.
I can do that. Or...
It's not luck.
It's
not luck at all. I think, people might think, oh, so lucky. It's not. It's been hard graft.
Yeah.
And
pivoting as well. Like you had to pivot in situations.
I was doing real estate before I had my second child. So I went into my 30s pregnant with Chester. On my 30th birthday, I was pregnant. And again, I stopped working for Bradley, and things were going great, and I had loads of commission lined up, and that all fell through. Yeah. You know, like, so it doesn't stop.
No.
You don't enter your 30s, you know what you want to do, and then all of a sudden the no's stop and everything's yes.
Yeah.
It will keep happening.
Yeah.
I think what you have to remember is that shit will always happen in life. How you handle it and how you decide to respond to it is what's important.
Yeah.
You will never stop bad stuff happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't want to either, because that's such a waste of energy.
Yeah.
Put your energy into making things as great as you can. Yeah. The more you amplify the shit, the bigger the shit becomes.
Yeah.
And I learned that in my life coaching course, and I thought that's so true.
Yeah.
As soon as, say something happens, like, say for example, my tyre burst.
Yeah.
I could spend the rest of my day talking about it.
Yeah.
Mum, oh my tyre, my God, it's going to cost me whatever. I could spend all day on that, or I could go, right, that's happened. I'll just get it repaired, and right, what's next?
Yeah.
Honestly, even just that is so effective.
Yeah, it is. Otherwise, it can take over.
Yeah, it's like gossip. So much gossip in your 20s, like your teenage years and then your 20s of like, she said this, he said that. That still goes on in your 20s because everyone's still finding themselves, comparing themselves. Everyone's a bit lost. And that is so consuming. It's like, just remove yourself from that. because it is just so consuming, so insignificant.
Yeah.
None of it will matter
Yeah.
in 10 years' time. What's going to matter in 10 years' time? The state of your health,
Yeah.
the state of your finances,
Yeah.
and the state of your relationships and the people around you.
Yeah.
So focus on that.
Yeah, completely.
Taking action on the things that are going to matter in 5-10 years' time.
Yeah.
Not the drama. So that would be another piece of advice that I had to learn the hard way as well.
Yeah. And I was going to say, like, that pivots into it quite well. Like, how throughout your 20s do you think your relationships changed? Obviously, you've been with Ricky for 10 plus years, so that was always been stable. But in terms of everyone else around you with changing careers, finishing uni, all of that, do you feel like it's changed a lot?
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, it's our anniversary tomorrow, actually.
Yeah.
13 years. He's always been a rock in my life.
Yeah.
He's always supported my goals. So that's always been great. You know, in some relationships, you know, we're a very 50-50 household. And in some relationships, the man doesn't like that. But Ricky is confident enough in his own right that, like, it never made him feel less of a man, which is great. That I really didn't need that hassle. So in terms of relationship, all good. He's always had my best interests at heart.
Yeah.
In terms of friendships, that's probably been the biggest challenge for me. My relationship with my family has always been 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Like cousins and siblings and mum, dad. So again, I'm lucky in that I've got a amazing family support network, and I get on with Ricky's family amazingly too. Yeah. But I say luck, you still have to work at relationships completely. As well. You know, you I
mean, even us, like, we could, even just because we're cousins doesn't mean we're going to be close. Like,
no, exactly.
We built that relationship together over the years.
For sure. It's still effort, and it's still take the time to understand and get to know people and value them. But friendships was very different for me. Yeah. I lost a lot of friends to toxic relationships and toxic men or guys. And I would try and save them. But now looking back, I realised that, like, that was probably a waste of time on my side. Like, that's their journey and their path. Yeah. And just be there for them, make sure they're okay. But you can't change anyone, and you can't make anyone do anything that they don't want to do. Yeah. And they'll often tell you they're listening to you, but they're not. They're still going to make their own decisions, and you'll just feel let down. Yeah. So instead of trying to make them make what you think is the right decision, just let them. Yeah. Which I learnt from Mel Robbins as well recently. Yeah. She's got a famous audio going around about let them, and I love that. And I do think of my friends when I hear that. Just let them, as long as you're there for them when they need you. Yeah.
You can't get tied up in it all, because otherwise it becomes your issue as well.
Less judgment. Like, I haven't lived their life, they haven't lived mine. Yeah. And that was always hard though, because I never felt like I had a really stable group of friends around me. Yeah. Not that they're not stable, but like there was never like a consistency around friends. I always had like little pockets, which used to upset me probably the most. Yeah. And Ricky would see me in tears often, feeling like, you know, I just don't feel like I've got a group of friends. Yeah.
And do you think that was influenced by like career as well, because you were always working so hard and doing so many things?
Probably, yeah. I think that I was just different. Yeah. I was just different. I was a bit of like just on my own. I maybe had a bit of tunnel vision in like, this is what I want to achieve. Yeah. But I still socialised and stuff. Once I had Macy, things changed anyway. But before that, like I still socialised with them. But I wasn't, I started partying quite young. Yeah. So I was kind of going off partying while I was at uni. Yeah. I would look around and I'd think, these people are so buzzing about getting drunk. And I'd done this when I was 17, you know, probably below the legal age, I'll be real. And because I always had older friends and stuff. Yeah. So by the time I got to uni, I was ready to sit and cope for a 2-course meal, which was £13.95 and a glass of wine. And they would all look at me like, who's this weirdo? Yeah. Yeah. So I almost never really fitted in. Yeah. And even now, some of my closest friends are 5 to 10 years older than me. Yeah. And that's just who I am. Yeah. I'm just an old soul. And the friends that I kind of we parted ways a little bit. We're coming back together now because we're all becoming mums and we have something more in common now, and you know they're finding their feet again. So I would just say, like, in my 20s, I wish I just worried less about what I couldn't control and understood that people will always do what they want to do. So who do I want to be as a friend? How do I want to make them feel? I don't want to make them feel judged. I don't want to make them feel like they're letting me down. I want them to feel like I'm supporting them, but also that there's boundaries, that like if I don't fancy the decisions you're making or the guys that you're with, there will be distance between us. But I'm sure we'll find our way. You know, that's okay. So I'd say friendship, because it's an emotional one as well, has probably been quite tough. But now I'm fine. Now I'm okay. I'm like, I know who my people are. You have friends for different reasons or for different things.
Completely.
And I'm quite happy being at home.
Good. No, I love that. I ask because I feel like where I am now, like with starting this and going through my marathon training and trying to do content and work still and all of these things, I feel like I'm kind of getting that tunnel vision, and I always trust your advice, and it's like, is that okay to do that? I'm doing what I want to do, but being around all of my friends is hard. It's hard to keep up with everyone, and my friends are all at such different stages. Like, some of my friends have just had babies, some of them are still going out every weekend getting drunk, some of them are like off at uni, some of them are living on the other side of the world, and it's like, where do I fit in with that? But I'm doing what I want to do and kind of learning that. So it's nice to hear that you've kind of had that tunnel vision as well, maybe when you were my age, and now everyone's coming back together, but also having those boundaries.
I've had tunnel vision since I can remember. You know, I've always set myself goals. And every decision I've made has been towards those goals.
And it's not a bad thing. You're doing it for you, right? And as long as you're,
and the friends
you know what
the friends that are your friends understand that that's you and you as a person. But I think you've sort of answered your own worries there. Like, your friends sound like they're all doing what they want to do.
So I have to do what I want to do as well.
Absolutely. You know, you can't, you know, as you get older, you see your friends less because, you know, shit has to get done. You know, you're not at high school anymore where you're seeing each other every day.
Exactly.
You know, like, I'm lucky if I see some of my friends once a month.
No, it's true. I think it's just getting that confidence in yourself, and I definitely have it. But even like last night, I was so happy to be at home, and I was working on this, and I was like prepping myself for today, and that's what I want to do. But then you go on Instagram and you see everyone out, and you're like, oh God, like there was a big thing in our local area yesterday. And I'm like, oh my God, it feels like every single person is there. Is there something wrong with me for not being there? But then I like check myself a minute. I'm like, I could be there if I wanted to. I know so many people there, but this is what I want to do, and I wanted to be prepped for today, and I'm loving this, and I'm pouring my heart and soul into it. So I think it's just that confidence in yourself to be like, this is what I want to do. And I think that's something you've always done. I don't feel like you've ever tried to follow the trend when it came to your friends and people around you.
No, never. I've just I know what I want, I know what I like. But also, like, that FOMO. I mean, I've had moments as well where I've not been invited to stuff. And I've gone onto Instagram and I can see people out, and you know, you're not there and you didn't get a message. Or like more recently, a few people I thought would wish me happy birthday didn't. You know, like, and it kind of hits you if I done something wrong. Like, that will always be there because you care.
Completely.
You know, because you care. But like, it's the FOMO that you had. It's FOMO. I ignore FOMO. I don't. Fear of missing out. Am I really missing out?
Yeah, that's where I'm getting to. I'm like, I'm not missing out, but just for a second, you still have
so
that. So
the most important thing is you might have that feeling, but then question it. Don't run with it. So instead of going, oh my God, I should be there. Oh my God, I'm such a bad friend. Oh my God, I'm such a recluse. You could either go that way, or you could go, oh, I might miss out on a few jokes or whatever, and I'm sure they're all gonna have a great time. But actually, when I look back, when I'm 35, I'll be so glad that I've done this podcast.
Exactly.
And I won't even remember that night out happened.
No. And as you say, the people that are important, you still see them and they're still there, and that absolutely. Kind of grows with you.
And they should be cheering you on rather than telling you you're crap. A crap friend, and why do you not go out anymore? You know, the real true friends who know you and value you and care about you are the ones that go, don't come out, work on your podcast. It's amazing that you're doing this.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I do have so many amazing friends that have been like that.
And that's what matters.
Yeah, I'm very grateful.
Yeah.
So in terms of like where you are now, how do you feel? Is this where you thought you would be? Or would you change anything? Or like, yeah, has your outlook changed?
What's changed? I thought I'd have more children, not by now, but going forward, I can't really see more children for me.
Yeah.
I wanted 4 because I came from 4. But then again, it's this realization of we don't live in the same world as what we lived in before.
Yeah.
I lived on a cul-de-sac with all my cousins and aunties. So my mum had her village.
Yeah.
My village is my mum and my mother-in-law, but they're in their 60s.
Yeah.
They need their freedom.
Yeah,
Childcare's bloody ridiculous and expensive. So I need their help at the moment until September. And then, you know, I'll feel less bad about having them, like using them. But it's this realization of also I can't recreate my childhood.
No.
Why am I trying to do that?
Yeah.
I love working. I love my career because I feel like what we're doing has purpose and it's helping people.
Yeah, it does.
So, yeah, I know that if I had any more kids, one, I think the children would suffer.
Right.
Because I wouldn't be there show up as a mum, as the mum I'd want to be.
Yeah.
My mum was there.
Yeah.
My dad worked. My mum was a mum until Bradley went to school. Bradley being the youngest. So I can't be that mum.
Yeah.
So I don't want Macy and Chester to suffer because I'm trying to do everything.
Yeah.
It's unrealistic. I'm ready to focus on me again.
Yeah.
I feel like there's another transformation coming.
Yeah.
I'm excited to get fit and strong again.
Yeah.
To feel sexy again.
Yeah.
Like all of those things that I lost whilst having my children and trying to earn the same money.
Yeah.
Like working through. I didn't have maternity leaves.
Yeah.
I haven't had a maternity leave. That's the long and short of it. That's the risk, I guess, you take becoming self-employed as a woman, I'd say, is that your maternity leave won't feel like one.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't change it.
Yeah.
It was hard, but like it's done now.
Yeah.
Chester's going to start going to nursery in September. Macy's at school. I got through it. I learned so much. I learned how resilient I am.
Yeah.
I learned how much of a grafter I am. I learned how mentally strong I am. So in the moment, it felt horrific.
Yeah.
But like, I'm so proud of myself. So I'm going into the next stage of my life going like, feeling really sure of who I am.
Good. I love that.
Yeah. And everything that happened in my 20s has got me to this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all those struggles and challenges and not feeling lost.
Yeah.
When you feel lost, which happens a lot in your 20s,
it can kind of escalate.
Yeah, I mean, you can go, I feel lost, and then go into this really dark place, or you can go, I feel lost, so let me just do something different.
Yeah, it's an opportunity. I feel
Take
lost.
action.
Where am I going to go?
Take action all the time. Take action. I say, like, as well with career and stuff like that, it's like an ice cream parlour where they let you try a little bit of each one before you actually make your decision.
I love that.
In your 20s, see it as an ice cream parlour with so many different flavours. Don't fuck around.
Yeah.
Have fun. But your 20s isn't an opportunity to extend university, in my opinion, because you're going to get to 30 and you're going to hate yourself. That's not the point of your 20s.
Yeah.
The point of your 20s is to experience things, but there's some underlying meaning and purpose and structure behind it.
Yeah.
Like, decide who you want to be in your 30s.
Yeah.
And so when you're making those decisions in your 20s, there is some sort of structure and foundation there.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes people can be like, I'm going to try loads of drugs, I'm going to drink loads. Yeah, it's all about just having fun.
I'm young. Just enjoy it.
I'm young, and you've got to work for the rest of your life. Like, don't see work in that way either.
No, set yourself up for it.
That's what your 20s is about. Find out what you love
and
what you're passionate about by trying different things, and be grateful for the things that don't work out, because finding out what you love is also part of a process of elimination.
Yeah.
So I tried real estate. I was really good at it, but again, I felt out of control. It was commission only. It just wasn't for me. It was making me more stressed. So I was like, right, I've tried it. They sold me a dream. It didn't work out. At least I know. And it brought me back to becoming a coach.
Yeah.
It brought me back to get it done.
Yeah.
And now I just feel like I'm about to create something pretty magical.
Yeah.
And it feels great.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to see.
Woo!
So in terms of your life coaching, you've touched on it a bit on here. But if a 20-something-year-old came to you and said, Connie, I really need some help or advice as a coach, and you started working with them, can you guide us through kind of where you would start or what steps you would get them to take?
Yeah, so I follow a structure of, number one, self-awareness and honesty.
Yeah.
Where are you now?
Yeah.
And how do you actually feel about the different aspects of your life?
Yeah.
Don't come to me with bullshit. Tell me the truth. Are you in a toxic relationship? Do you hate your career but you feel like you can't change it because your family are going to judge you?
Yeah.
You know, is your physical health really crap and you're blaming everything but yourself? Like, you need to be aware of where you're at now and you need to be honest.
Yeah.
You cannot grow unless you are self-aware and prepared to go, take accountability for your life. Once we've done that, we go, right, I'll say, right, so if all the aspects of your life, the main things, which is usually family, friends, career, finances, mental health, physical health, whatever, if they were 10 out of 10, how would it feel? How would it look?
Yeah.
And that's a really nice way of creating a vision.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people go, I don't know what my goals are. Don't worry about your goals, like getting a house at 25 and like these specific goals that I had. That will come.
Yeah.
Just envision.
Yeah,
I guess it's manifestation.
Yeah.
Envision what life would feel like if every aspect was 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Now, it's really hard to reach everything 10 out of 10 because, like I said, shit happens in life. So everything might be 10 out of 10 for a moment and then someone in the family passes, you know, or, you know, all of a sudden you've got a mole and you realise, you know, it's there's something wrong with it and you've got, you know, things happen. But strive for that 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
And once you've established where you are and who you want to be and what you want life to look like, and it doesn't have to be in 10 years, it could be in a year or it could be in 5 years, you then create a strategy and a plan. And that plan is made up of daily habits and decisions and choices.
Yeah.
And you've probably seen this all over the internet, so I'm not teaching people anything new probably, but this is the formula for all coaches. We all teach you the same, and that's because it works. So when you wake up and you go, I'm choosing to be happy and healthy and no longer a people pleaser and dedicated to X, Y, and Z, and I'm going to build my relationship with my parents again or whatever. When you choose, you've got to make a choice. Then you go, what can I do today and tomorrow and
to get me there?
That will get me there. That 10 out of 10 is not going to happen next week. It's not going to happen all in one go. You're not going to go to the gym once and all of a sudden your 10 out of 10 appears through the front door. It takes time. That's what people find the hardest.
Right.
But it's trusting the process and also being compassionate. So the days that you're not perfect, you go, it's fine. I'm human.
There's
but
a
it's
new
not
day
going to happen tomorrow. Yeah. Like, I think it's like, forgive one day, but don't let it go past 2.
I like
That's
that.
kind of my motto. So, you know, if I don't get my 10,000 steps one day, do something tomorrow. If it happens to be 2 because something's happened, forgive yourself. But my God, you prioritize it the next day. So that is it in a nutshell. And then we talk about values and core values. And I think this is something 20-year-olds probably never even think about. What do you value in life? Like, what are your core values? 4 or 5 core values. I've got 3 that I turn to a lot, which is courage, health, and generosity. Oh, hang on, and integrity. So 4.
Right.
They're my 4 core values at the moment, and they can evolve and change. But courage has got me to where I am now. I've taken so many risks. And I've done things and been scared, but done them anyway. And I love that. Courage is incredible. Health, so important. Always start with your health. Everyone should value their health above everything else. When you focus on your health, so if someone doesn't know where to start and that vision still isn't clear, just focus on your health. Because when you start doing healthier things, emotionally, physically, mentally,
like
financially,
like
socially.
a domino effect, isn't
it
it?
has a domino effect.
Yeah.
Again, that's the get it done ethos. We've got our 5 pillars, and that's what it's all about. Integrity, I don't do anything I don't believe in.
Yeah.
If it doesn't feel right, I don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so integral to my word as well. I'll stick to it. Because that makes me feel good.
Yeah.
I couldn't be someone that says one thing and does another.
Yeah.
It just makes me feel sick. And I've learned that about myself.
Yeah.
And you upset people.
Yeah.
But I'm just glad I'm not. I find people pleasers struggle because their integrity is challenged.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so hard being a people pleaser. You mean well, but you end up feeling like you're letting everyone down, and then you let yourself down, and then it's fucking shit hits the fan. And then what was the other one I said?
Generosity.
Generosity.
Yeah.
That is all about being generous with my time and my love, not with my money.
Yeah.
Although I like to treat people, it's not about that. It's about, as a coach, I have to be generous with my time and my love. So they're my 4 values. And when you are struggling or you're sort of not sure if something's right, go back to your core values and ask yourself, does it align with these 4 things? Or say a person or a relationship.
Yeah.
Does it align with my core values? Family is another core value for us, right?
Yeah.
So if it doesn't align and my family are telling me things and are aware of things and I know they've got my best interest at heart, listen to your core values, listen to what they're telling you. And that's underestimated.
Yeah, completely.
Values are undervalued.
Yeah.
And I always go back to my core values. And I know when my brothers have rung me and gone, oh, they've not been sure about things, whatever, I'm like, that goes against your core value.
Yeah.
That's why you feel like this.
Yeah.
Who are you? What do you believe in? What makes you feel good? And they go, all right, thanks, Con.
Yeah,
and
I've got it.
And they feel so much more confident in
Yeah.
the decision that they then make.
Yeah.
So who are you? Be honest with yourself. Where do you want to be? What's that vision? How do you want life to feel?
Yeah.
Create a little plan based on your daily habits. What can you do every day that's going to get you closer to that 10 out of 10 feeling?
Yeah.
And then go a little bit deeper and go, what are my core values and am I living by them?
Yeah.
And that would be my advice for anyone who just wants to grow and just wants to feel better, do better, be better.
I love that. It's like always having those things to come back to. And for you, like, obviously I know you. So from you saying that, I'm like, yeah, I can see that. I can see all of those things in you because you really live them out. Like even coming here today, giving up your Sunday morning, like that's so generous of your time. So I can just see all of those things, and that's just you as a person. And I think that's really great to be able to see that. And
thank you. Yeah,
I don't know if you would see that from the outside. Maybe it takes someone else sometimes, but I can see that, and I can see that you're just living it all the time.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah. So my final question that I want to ask all of my guests is that if you could go back to the beginning of your 20s, knowing everything, what would be the one piece of advice that you would give yourself?
Pecs. That's a good one. So looking back, one piece of advice I'd give to my 20-year-old self.
Yeah.
Okay, there's 3 quotes that I'll say to keep it short and snappy that relate to the advice I'd give to myself. The first one is from Grandad.
Yeah.
Busy is a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Now, that has been so empowering for me now. And it's stops you from being stressed about being busy and seeing it as actually a luxury and a privilege and an opportunity. It's opportunity. The second one would be the sun doesn't compare itself to the moon, yet they still shine. Stop comparing, focus on you, stay on your lane, make you the best person you can be. And when you do that, you don't give a shit what anyone else is doing. It's unreal.
It's that tunnel vision again, because you're just like, I'm confident in what I'm doing. Yeah.
But it just, what you're doing, how you're looking, all of those things, when you focus on you, what other people are doing matters less. So the people sitting there gossiping, bitching about other people aren't focusing on themselves, aren't working on themselves. And that's why they're doing that. So that would be another thing, is like, would have loved to have done that sooner. But again, I got there in the end. The last one would be one that Bradley also loves, is you don't have to start to be great. No, you have to...
you have to be great to start.
Yes, that's it. The last one that I love, that me and Bradley both love, is you don't have to be great to start. You have to start to be great. And that quote we've always loved, because you're a beginner at something all the time at some point of your life. And if you're not, then you're not doing enough.
Yeah.
You're not exploring enough.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be a beginner to get things going. Never be afraid to ask questions. Never be afraid. You know, what do they say? If you're not if you're the most clever person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah.
And I love that. Now I don't care to ask questions. I don't care to say, look, I've never done this before.
Yeah.
Do you mind just showing me?
Yeah.
I don't care. Because how else am I going to learn?
Yeah. Everyone starts from somewhere.
I'll never go into a room and pretend I know it all, because I don't.
No, it's so true.
And that's the 3 quotes I'd say stick with me all the time, and always remind me that, you know, things is opportunity. It's okay to be a beginner and stop comparing yourself. Yeah,
I love them. I mean, obviously, Granddad is amazing, and we've been so lucky to have like all of his knowledge ingrained in us. So that is such a good one, and it's so true. Your second one I love, and I actually read something yesterday that said self-love is one of the greatest forms of self-love is knowing that you deserve more and striving for more. And I think that's kind of it ties up that, like, and you know you want more, work for it. You know that you're giving it to yourself, and when you feel content and comfortable in what you're doing. And the last one I love as well, I feel that completely with this. Sometimes I'm like, oh gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't feel ready enough. But if I don't start, I would have never started it, and I'm learning as I go. And I have really taken that from both you and Bradley, because Bradley says that to me all the time, and I've seen it in both of you and what you're doing. So I think it's incredible. Thank you for coming on the podcast, Connie. I just want to say I feel so lucky to have you on here, giving your knowledge. I feel like you're a work of wisdom, and there's just so much that you could give. We could have chatted for hours.
We could.
But I think, it's been great, and I think it will really help so many people. And I feel lucky and privileged myself to have had you kind of guiding me in life and showing me that. So thank you so much.
I've been that person, Bex. Sometimes you don't realise who's impacted by
you don't.
What you're doing. And I don't do it to impact others. I do it because I love it, but I'm just glad it does that at the same time.
Yeah, and I think we've always been quite similar. I always laughed that you literally gave me like business books when I was like 15. You had read when you were like 16, Karen Brady.
Yeah.
And how to win friends and influence people. And you literally gave them to me as like a 15-year-old. And I wanted them, and I would read them at that age. And I was on like Bebo and whatever, and I'm there reading like business books.
My first girls' holiday, I was reading a book that was called How to Get From Where You Are to Where You Want to Be.
Oh, maybe it was that one instead.
I gave that to Fergus as well, so it's probably that one. That was my Bible for a long time. And my friends were all reading like Katie Price and Cheryl Cole and autobiographies, but they all thought I was a weirdo, but they still love me.
Well, there you go. That just sums you up. So thank you so much, Connie.
Thanks, Bex.
Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Please continue to like, subscribe, share, and follow us on socials. See you next week for another episode.